All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about thinning knives. This is a cheap Chinese stainless steel restaurant supply knife. I don't remember even how I got it, but at some point, I think somebody's hand, it broke, the handle broke on it. And these things, the tang only goes to like maybe right here. So once the handle breaks, they're pretty much crap, and somebody was throwing it away, and I pulled it out of the trash can. So I've been working on it a little bit. I still need to fix the spine here. There's a big notch where the old handle was fitting that needs to be ground down flat. And I've done quite a bit of work thinning it out already on a belt sander. You can see the grind marks. But basically the difference between sharpening and thinning is the angle of attack. Thinning in its most basic form would just be putting the knife flat on the stone like this. And then sharpening is, attacking the actual apex of the edge. So a lot of times if something is wedging, it means that the knife is too fat behind the edge. And that's the area that you want to attack. This knife is very fat behind the edge because so far I've done most of the thinning on a slack belt on a belt sander. And that means that it's convexed quite a bit right here and very fat behind the edge. So the next thing I want to do, I don't have a very good platen, so it's not very easy for me to do the next thinning on the belt sander. And so I have to do it manually on stones. Doesn't matter what stone you use to flatten with, to thin your knife with. Coarser stones are going to work faster, and finer stones are going to give you more room for error if you mess up or do something stupid. But I'm going to use this stone. It's a little bit dished, but I don't really care for what I'm doing right now. It doesn't matter. I'm just kind of experimenting with this stone. I would use the other side, but the other side's got nice stamps on it, so I don't want to mess those up. This is an oil stone, but you could do this with a wet stone or a water stone or whatever. So I'm going to use a little bit of mineral oil. Because this is an oil stone. Now, like I said, for a final micro bevel, for me, I do it pretty high angle. Maybe like right here. Okay, normal sharpening is a little bit lower than that. Okay, and thinning is even lower than that. Like I said, at its very basis, thinning is just going to be with the knife flat on the stone. And if I'm trying to figure out how a knife is ground, then I'll lay it like that, just flat on the stone, so I can see what I'm working with. And you can see the grind is very flat, and then it gets very convexed down here toward the end. So if I want to make this thinner behind the edge, then I need to focus I need to focus on sharpening right there. Same thing on this side. Okay. So I do that with my finger pressure from this hand. And I push where I want to focus my pressure. So I'll start off a little bit above this blue line, and I'll work, try and hitting, just getting rid of the top of it, and work my way down closer and closer to the edge. And I'm putting a fair amount of pressure, and I'm scrubbing back and forth. Okay, now you can see I did a really good job of taking that blue marker off all the way from here down to here. I missed a little down here. Okay. There you go. Now I've taken that all the way off, and you can see where I've started attacking that part of the grind. And so I just keep doing that. And you know, next I flip over to the other side, do this side. I switch hands. Yeah, so So, same thing on that side. I'm attacking this area right on there. And I'm trying to basically get it thinner just in that section, leaving the thickness above that section and trying not to hit the apex necessarily. You're going to hit the apex some no matter what. Nobody's like perfect in that regard. But I try to stay away from it so that you're genuinely thinning and removing material from the sides of the knife and not necessarily from the edge, with the idea that you're going to make it, you know, thinner behind the edge. Anyways, after I did that and got it thin to where I want, I would take it up to about 2000 grit, and then I would go back through, probably starting at something finer than this, and build my micro bevel. And so let's assume I did all the thinning I wanted to do. Now I'm ready to do my micro bevel. When I do my micro bevel, I don't do the scrubbing back and forth. I do just like this. Okay, and I start at an angle that is only a little bit steeper than my thinning angle, and I'll start there, and I'll try to lock it in right there as best I can and build the bevel there. Then I'll go back through at the end, and I'll put in one more little sort of nano bevel where it's a high angle pass. So for me, there's really like 3 different distinct bevels. There's the thinning bevel, it's very flat. The sharpening bevel is a little bit higher. And then there's a high angle pass at the end to get rid of your final micro burr. And this will take away some of your ultimate sharpness, but it will be much more stable.